So we're going to dive into a little bit around how having more meaningful relationships with your colleagues has wider benefits, both on a personal level, from an employer's standpoint. I think culture's always been something that's been top of our agenda, but I guess almost subconsciously you want to take a step back and look at everybody and think they want to spend time with the people that they're working with naturally in a non-forced way. Like when you see people go out after work unprompted for a drink, that's real.
Because like you can try and build a culture as much as you want and organise things that people go to, but when they're actually doing it off their own backs, that's completely different, isn't it?
It's like the North Star, isn't it? As validation for.
Yeah, or like when everybody like goes out for a pint at lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice to see, and it's nice. To be fair, a big part of that though does come from how like the business operates. So, I've actually got quite a good story. Am I going to share it? I'm going to share it. Hopefully nobody listens to this, they shouldn't. I was invited by an ex-colleague, someone that I used to work, to go out for like some drinks for his birthday. So this was like, it was like a couple of months ago. And it actually ended up getting cancelled because he'd sort of invited like people that he works with now, like people he used to work with, like people that he was mates with type of thing. And there'd been an occasion where something else had gone on, and like one of the bosses at the business had not been invited, and he'd like kicked off. So then this friend had cancelled these drinks because he felt like he had to then invite this person that kicked off about another social event, but nobody wanted to go with that person type thing.
When you say kicked off,
yeah. I don't know the full extent, but obviously caused enough of a fuss to make somebody think that it wasn't wise to do another one.
weird move.
Yeah. But then that's like an example of if your culture's not right, you actually can't really... It's very hard to form those relationships because, like, if you don't feel comfortable going, oh, should we all go for a pint on a Friday and leave the office, that's fine for us, but that's not fine in every business. Like, there's a lot of businesses that are like, what do you mean you're all leaving the office together on a Friday? That's not okay. We don't... Like, that's not how we work. You can't possibly all go out at the same time type of thing.
Yeah, that's bizarre then, isn't it? When that doesn't exist.
Yeah. So you do have to have the right culture in place for then those friendships to form in the right ways.
I'd never really thought about it too much until this morning when I heard it spoken by someone else.
Yeah.
That as a measure, it's like, don't get any better than that.
Oh, no, definitely not.
But we've never really driven or tried to achieve that. It's just come out of how we've done it. It's very bizarre for me to digest.
It must be really nice to see, though.
It's cool, but I think the premise of the podcast that I was listening to, it's like the benefits of having almost like best friend style relationships with your colleagues at work is super, super meaningful on a professional standpoint, but also personal standpoint. And then like if you blow it out and zoom out to the business level.
Yeah. But then you've got that. You basically run a company with like your best mates.
Yeah. I meant for that to happen. I didn't know. I didn't know how that would
but
actually
then, yeah, but it's different. It's kind of different to like falling into a job and then becoming friends with somebody. You like chose to build a business around that, which it would be quite upsetting actually if that hadn't been filtered down a bit.
That could have gone really wrong, couldn't it? Maybe there's a little bit of an effect that has, I guess.
I think there probably is. Because like it's really nice for like us guys to see like you all go out together at lunch, like you go off and do stuff. It's actually really nice to see that because it does show that it's an important part of who we are and how if that's important to you guys and how the business operates, that's naturally going to influence us a little bit and show us that that's fine to do, that's nice to do.
It works. I think it's testament to having good people in the business, but also hiring,
Mm-hmm.
bringing people, continuing to bring good people into the business as well.
Yeah.
That people want to spend time with.
Yeah, definitely. And you do get the really nice thing, even though obviously we do organise like proper socials that everybody's invited to and they're done through the business, you'll often then get, even after that, like people are like, oh, well, ready to go home now, we've had our forced fun. They're like, right, who's coming for a pint now afterwards, or, you know, who wants to carry on, do something else, or, which is really nice once you've done all that, people are exhausted and ready to like just disappear. They still want to like stay with those same people, even after doing it for like a full day.
Winning. That's what that is.
I think so, yeah.
No, it's good. I think one of the things that was spoken about, again, on the podcast that I was listening to, was the capability for people to have a soundboard for personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, how much time do you spend at work? It's the majority of your life, isn't it?
A lot, yeah.
So having the capability of being able to offload some personal stuff, or even just have a general conversation about stuff that's going on in your personal life, is a huge benefit that you just wouldn't really naturally associate with a benefit of a working environment.
Yeah, but you do, like if you've had a bit of a, I don't know, if you've got something going on at home or whatever else, I would go out with my friends at lunch and I'd talk to them about it, definitely, like, and be waiting for that lunch period to be like, right guys, here's my problem.
I love that though.
I mean, I'm a sharer, but
it's just a good thing though, isn't it?
yeah, no, it is, it's really nice. And it's nice, like, I think a big part that really helps it is having like a nice office where you sat in, you know, whoever you sat with naturally kind of just become your friends, because that's who you're spending your day with. But if you've got the right setup, and we thought about this when we were doing the office, didn't we?
Yeah.
About how the setup works and making sure that you interact not just with people like next to you, with like everybody. And you do get it because like, well, you might be chatting about something, like telling a little personal story, and you'll get somebody from across the room that's like listening in, and then they chirp in with their little bit to it and add. And it's really nice to have like a space that allows you to do that, actually.
I think I'm going to use it as a way of quantifying culture, because culture obviously comes up all the time. It gets discussed in meetings, it gets discussed in pictures, all that kind of stuff. And it's always feels a little bit dickish trying to describe it, because it's so thrown around as a corporate word. Culture, we're really big into culture, this, because there's
bullshitted about a lot.
There's so much bullshit that surrounds it. But I think as a way of validating it, it's like, how do you quantify if you've got a good culture? People wanting to spend time with each other off their own backs, and even outside of the office. Yeah.
But even in the way that, say, we go do like yoga at lunch together.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Even those like little bits, you quite easily be like, nah, I'm just going to do my own exercise class by myself. I don't want to go with you lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to like previous agencies, that the way in which things like that were done, and there were very little of that. Like I have people that I worked with that I still speak to and that I would class as friends, but I never remember going out on lunch together or anything like that. I would just eat my lunch at my desk.
I've definitely always done that.
Maybe that's just me.
I've always tried to do it, and I've still got like some of my like closest friends are still people that I've worked with in the past, and I still see them all the time.
Maybe I'm just miserable.
Maybe, yeah. No, I'm joking. But I think it's different. But then I think it's really weird, because the way you make friends is different business to business. So we've got a culture that's like really nice, and everybody likes each other, and new friends just because you've all got stuff in common and we're all nice people, basically. But if you work somewhere where the culture isn't right, you actually almost do become like really close friends with people, because say you've got like a boss that is a bit I guess if it's just being careful on this, if you've got a boss where they're a bit temperamental, nobody really likes them, you almost have these friendships because you're all like on the same side and like looking after each other. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like you're all like looking after each other, and that's what forges the friendship. And it's different, but in a way, you can actually get really close to people because of that reason. And often, I suppose it's different because a lot of your time that you spend together is talking through those work problems as opposed to like necessarily your problems outside of work. But it's very different, but it is still a strange way of forming friendships.
Definitely not what I'm shooting for. I wouldn't. I don't see that as healthy.
Oh no, I'm not endorsing that in any way.
I get it.
It's just a weird one, like looking at the comparisons between like places that I've worked and how those friendships have come about. Like, it's just very different. It's different everywhere you go, and that's normal because obviously culture is different everywhere you go. But you can kind of see these different ways that you sort of fall in with people, and then why you've ended up being friends with them and why it's ended up sticking. And the right reason is because you like each other and you get on really well and da-da-da-da-da. But there are other reasons, like that common interest.
Yeah.
Common problem.
I still think there's benefit to that outcome, though. I think on a higher level, developing those relationships doesn't really matter too much how they come about.
Yeah.
But the value that brings socially, I think, is pretty big.
But yeah, and there is also a massive business benefit, isn't there? Because then everybody's actually got each other's backs.
Yeah.
Which, if you're somewhere where you're, if you don't have those friendships and you've got people that don't really value each other or like the business or their colleagues or whatever else, that's where you get that awful like backstabbing and everybody blaming each other for this and trying to throw each other under the bus, and that's where it can go horribly wrong.
Yeah. I was trying to think back into the effect that COVID had on the capability of providing that environment and that like face to face side by, like you sit down next to someone, don't you, and you might just have a 5-minute chat about something that you've done at the weekend, for example.
Yeah, definitely.
All that got taken away, didn't it? 'Cause everything was so forced and you had to be really thoughtful about actually making a call and having the conversations, whereas it happens naturally, doesn't it, in the office. And I think there's a generation of people that came into work in 2020 that have completely
Missed
that. And these are the people that I think are championing 100% remote. So never had that experience and never had the real opportunity to develop those connections with people.
Because I have to say, even on the days that like I'm not in the office or I'm working from home, so like I'll often do the same working from home days as my pals because then we can hang out together. But then when we're working from home, we'll like we've got like a little like chat on Slack, and we'll always like pretty much just always be like, chatting away to each other like, oh, what did you do last night? What are you having for tea? Like all that stupid stuff. But we still do that when we work from home. Do
you think that you would have developed that though had you not have had the option to be in person?
No, probably not. If I never really met them, I don't think you'd be as close.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of things that are happening now the pandemic's behind us that I think it's surfacing, but people were just completely unaware of the long-term effects. And there is a gap, like that 2.5-3 year period where there's still a really negative effect that's happened off the back of that.
Interesting, right? Yeah, I never really thought about it, And I think because I am like of the generation that I've not just gone into work in the middle of a pandemic, I've done it all before. So I've already got those relationships, I've already got the friendships, I've already got that way of getting through my working day, which to me a lot of that is other people. Yeah, I never really thought about
it's
what
huge.
it'd be like not to.
I think loneliness is
have done that.
Is very, very serious, and I think that hasn't been helped by the pandemic. I think it's probably something that goes a little bit overlooked as well. And if you think about those people that are like a grad in 2020, getting the first role, not knowing any different, think about the compounding effect of not being able to have the opportunity to
Yeah.
develop those relationships from a support standpoint. It's mega.
Yeah, it is, because I mean, everybody's different. Some people do like to work just completely by themselves. Da, da, da. I'm rubbish at it. Like, as you know, I come into the office like pretty much most days because I just go a bit stir crazy at home. Like, my partner comes home and literally I'm just like, da, 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 and he's like, oh my God, you need to go to the office. Because if I've not spoken to anybody all day, or if it's been a day where there's not been many meetings or whatever, I do feel like it's all like pent up in me. But that's how I'm used to my working day being. I'm used to being able to chat to people, talk things through, da, 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 da. So if you've never had that, you maybe learn a different way of working. And like I said, you don't really know any different.
Yeah, there's just so many things that you can pull out of that, though, isn't there? Like, it may not occur to people, the negative effect of not having that, even as an opportunity. And then if that becomes, imagine the anxiety of that then switching to being able to go and build those relationships.
Yeah.
How much anxiety would some people, more than others, but would feel going and then trying to start that.
Yeah. And also, like, it's that thing where if you're friends with people that you're then working with and having to collaborate on things, I think there's a little bit more confidence to be like honest about opinions and all that, all the sorts of things you should just be doing day to day. Like, it's quite hard if it's not somebody you're really close with and you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know what's gone into it from their side, type thing. I can see how that would be a massive barrier if you've never really met them or spoken to them.
Yep. Not good.
No.
People are good. That's the conclusion. I think environments have got a lot to answer for when it comes to enabling people, having the benefits that come with social connection.
Yeah, definitely.